Episode 11. I don't even have enough fingers to, Oh yeah, that's much smarter. I was engaged in legal activity, and so I'm still a little slow on the uptake. Don't worry about it. Legal, not illegal. Both of y'all.
I was like, you're like illegal activity. I was like, oh.
Tonya was like, are you recording?
I'm gonna need you to like.
We need to start over.
I said legal, and y'all both looked at me. No,
it sounded like illegal.
Yep. Here we are. Full things. Here we go.
Why we automatically assumed you meant illegal is funny.
You know me. You do know me. Illegal only for good. Civil disobedience kind of thing.
Of course. Yeah.
How are y'all besides that?
Vacation and sunny.
I'm just a coffee importer.
Right. You do good for the community. You keep us safe.
Yes. Alternatives to policing is importing coffee.
Period. Mm-hmm. Not like Carly. Anyway, y'all ready? We're already choosing violence at the beginning. How are y'all doing this week?
Yeah. I just kind of like, there's so much, but I just kind of gotten a little bit impatient with certain hues of people. and so there's that. And I have to, sometimes I have to tell myself to, hold back, Tonya, but no, not this week. So there.
Okay. Sandra,
I'm glad for a break. So
yes. Oh, I can't wait. Sandra, how are you doing?
I'm here. I try to stay off the internet because I knew I would choose violence because everyone's choosing violence right now. And we'll see what happens today. I'm just trying to stay present for opportunity.
I see you. Well, let's hop right into this recap and talk about this show. So we're going to deep dive today into the 2005 train crash. Really excited to talk about that. Specifically, this came up because at first I was like, I'm not going to do a sweeps thing or like a deep dive this week. But Sandra tweeted something like, I have not been swept. And I was like, you know what? Neither have I. So let's talk about a proper sweep. So that's what we'll do today after our normal, hot takes. Y'all ready for the recap?
Yeah.
Another week where nothing happened and the recap feels long. All right, here we go. Cat Daddy, or Curtis's daddy. Turns out they're one and the same. Our favorite snooper turns up at the Savoy and tells Curtis that he's his father, Marshall Thomas Ashford. Curtis is in disbelief, but he believed his father to be dead from a heart attack. But after receiving a photo from Mr. Ashford, the father, he starts to believe. Scott visits Victor at PCPD lockup as his lawyer. Though they are not friends, they share a love for Liesl. Scott threatens Robert with telling WSB secrets to Victor's great delight. Valentine is still in rough shape at General Hospital, but not so rough that he cannot track down the patient who was also brought in from Crete and look for answers. This is the same patient that Portia is treating and receives a call about at the art gallery, while Nicholas creeps behind her to hear what's going on. Valentine threatens to put a syringe of air into the patient's IV and kill him if he doesn't give him answers on Peter. Anna comes into the room and acts like she can't believe Valentine would go this far. And when the man wouldn't give her info, she jabs him with a syringe. Side note, I wonder if this triggered any of our anti-vaxxers on set. Anyway, back on track. The man reveals that Peter is still on Cassadine Island, while Anna and Valentine walk out like nothing happened. Robert tells them that due to Scott Baldwin, Victor will be freed by the WSB. With Anna's knowledge of Peter's location, she says that she's going to squad up to find him, and Robert is going too. Despite his claims that he's okay enough to travel and that he knows Cassadine Island better than anyone else, they leave Valentine behind. At Kelly's, BLQ is angry at Chase because he called her a liar. Chase tells her that he's trying to help, and BLQ recounts her story of giving Yuri the slip because she didn't want Valentine at the birth of and having her baby in a hotel with a doula, which, y'all, that's not what doulas do. But anyway, Chase is still on the case because he knows the story doesn't make any sense. Thank you, Chase. BLQ heads to Trina's exhibit with most of Port Charles. Gladys notices that her super scary baby daddy is actually a waiter, and she decides she's definitely spilling the paternity secret to Valentine. Despite all the drama, Trina's exhibit is a success. Joe Sartori gives a speech. Shout out to me actually buying that book. It's heavy, so I don't have it on screen. And everyone sings Trina's praises, as they should. Her mother is beaming with pride. Ava is distracted by her useless husband, but she's also impressed. Cam is being a great friend, and Spencer is giving heart eyes at any chance he can. Esme tries to stir up drama by suggesting there's something going on between Katrina, and when sweet, simple Cam gets her alone, instead of confronting her about this, he confronts her about their weekend away and not talking about him and Josh's sleeping arrangements. Cam. While BLQ was distracted, she looks away from Leo and he goes missing. Everyone searches for him and they eventually find him at the docks. Ned read that kids on the spectrum like to be near water, and now hopefully we are turning a corner on this, frankly, irresponsible way they've been telling this story. Back at the gallery, Sasha and Gladys are discovered in a room where Esme tried and failed to trap Trina. Sasha is in labor and Brando is ready to rush her to the hospital. When Gladys finds out that they are trapped on purpose, she assumes BLQ did it and makes a beeline to Valentine at the hospital. When Gladys does find Valentine, she starts to tell him the paternity secret, but is interrupted by BLQ. BLQ and Valentine talk, and he finds out that Bailey is not his. He is visibly angry and upset, as we expect. She does not tell him the full truth, however, because in walks Chase, who, thanks to our messy Bobby Spencer, has put the story together and claims that Bailey is his. Nina and Maxie see Sasha at the hospital and wish her luck. They talk about the baby swap, and Nina tells Maxie that Valentine might not help her if he knew the whole truth. Austin, who hates BLQ, remains suspicious of the whole situation, especially after Maxie tells him they are no longer friends because he won't leave it alone. After some really cute brasha scenes, we have a turn of events that shows Sasha and the baby are both in danger. We leave with them being rushed into emergency surgery. Sasha has a C-section and she crashes. Elsewhere in Port Charles, we have Carly show up to Charlie's to talk to Phyllis. She wants to get to know her and learn more about Sonny's time as Mike. Carly once again complains about Nina to Phyllis, and Phyllis basically Ionless Carly and tells her to let it go. Like, Carly, fix your life. Speaking of this conversation, Carly runs into Nina, Wiley, and Willow in the town square. Carly goes from mob wife to barbecue Becky with really, really quick with a threat to call the police on Nina for stalking Wiley and Willow. Willow grows a slight backbone and explains to Carly that Wiley saw Nina and was excited because she is his grandmother. And instead of making it awkward, she allowed her son to talk to his grandmother. Carly, still upset, questions Willow as a mother, and she talks and asks if she talked this over with Michael. Willow lets her know it is her decision to make. Sonny shows up following a friendly run-in with Alexis and tells Carly to calm down. He also admits that he and Nina were friends in Nixon Falls, but falls short of telling her about their romantic relationship. When it looked like he might say more, Bobby shows up and Sonny encourages Carly to spend time with her mother. We have a Milo scene in the boxing ring, which I wasn't a fan of because the gym really belongs to the ship of my heart, Michael and Chase. So that scene happened. It was fun. Finally, we're back on Cassadine Island. I'm not going to go too far into explaining every detail. All you need to know is that Peter is still on the loose, Drew is Liesl's favorite of the twins, and a tunnel collapsed on Jason. Insane. Woo! What a sweepless week.
I remain unswept.
I was looking forward to seeing how they were going to end Jason, and if the way it ended on Friday is how they plan on ending Jason, that leaves it open for him to come back, because obviously they'll be like, oh, we can't find him in the rubble, and then the building explodes, and then 10 years later, or maybe a year later, maybe 6 months later, we find Jason crawling through the rubble if he gets vaccinated. So I mean, it's just like, he's not really ended. So there's that. But I think there was some great scenes, and which I will talk about later. But yeah, not necessarily swept. I want to go through the motion. I like that. Swept. Yeah, we weren't.
And GH has not put us through the motions. I've not been swept.
No.
But November is not over yet, ladies. We still have next week and early week after that. So
I'm me looking at the date like
I have no, I mean, November is not over yet, but it's basically over.
Yeah, we still get the potential of ending Peter. So
I'll go into that in predictions, but there's the potential. Sure.
There's the potential.
Right.
Right.
What I'll say is last week was awful. This week, Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, were like, all right, like this is a show that I watched and I enjoy. Monday actually was like really, really good. Like my note for Monday was, I liked this episode. Wow. There wasn't like anything that I didn't like. Great. This is like a different show than I was watching last week. But I feel like this week I'm like, feels so clear to me that I'm watching two different shows. Like there's the show that's on when my faves are on, like Cassadines, Ava, Anna, the teens, and then there's the show that's on when everyone else is on. And like my commentary on Friday was, the show that I've been watching is bad. So very different from Monday to Friday.
It's true.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what our favorites are. What about you, Tonya? What's your favorite moment from this week?
I actually love the moment that Trina had with her mom.
Yeah.
Portia basically sees Esme and was like, you're and she meets Esme, and Esme is problematic as usual, and so walks away, and then Trina comes up behind her mom and rests her chin on her shoulder, and Portia's like, watch out for that one, and Trina's like, I am. And I liked it because mother-daughter moments, it reminds me of ones that I would have with my own mom. My mom is also smaller or shorter than me. Sometimes I hug on her, and then it'd be like me engulfing her a little bit, or me resting my head on her shoulder or something like that. And it just, that little moment was like a favorite for me, and because of my mom recently passing away, so I really loved that. I also, one of my favorite moments, the moments that I liked, which happened on a Friday, sorry, but I one of my favorite scenes was also with Valentine finding out that Bailey isn't his. So but I have thoughts on it because one person, a social media person who I followed was just like F Valentine and his feelings about using kids. And I was just like, why is that? And then I had an epiphany brain fart. Nina. I was like, he did the same thing to Nina. Now he's getting a little bit of karma, but it still was a great emotional moment for me, and I was crying along with him. So I'm super sensitive. I cry on soap operas, and that's it. But yeah, so those are the scenes that I really liked this week.
Nina is my enemy, so I don't care about what Valentine did to her.
Right. So that's probably why I didn't immediately think about that, because I'm like, Nina, what Nina did is worse than anything that has been done to her. But now I'm seeing how it's because the person tweeted how everybody's really hypocritical. And so, yeah, I understand why she had that reaction to him. It doesn't mean that, I mean, just because he did that doesn't mean it's cool that it happened to him, but I totally understand where her point was.
Sure.
And Valentine's actually had consequences. So
right.
That's also part of like why it doesn't come immediately to mind, because I'm like, oh, he got dragged for that. So
yeah, he did get dragged for it. I think he's one of the few people that actually faces the consequences of his actions on the show. So that's probably
they don't have to be in jail.
Huh?
They don't have to be jail consequences.
He faced he faced real consequences, even if he was. Yeah, he's gone to jail too, though. But yeah, so that's why I love his character so much, because he's flawed and he experiences the consequences, and he's also romantic and handsome, and
I have more to say about that, but yes, I'll pause. Sandra, what about you?
Okay.
Well, my favorite moment was Vanna interrogating the guard. Yes, because there was like Valentine coming in and like doing his intimidation thing, and I was like, that's pretty hot. Like, okay, you were just speaking French to your children earlier, and that reminded me that I have ovaries. Not that I want to use them, just reminded me that they are there. And then when Anna comes in and she's all like, hey, what are you doing? Interrogating someone without me? And he kind of looks like she's like gonna talk him off the edge, and then she fucking stabs that guard with the syringe.
Oh, I loved it.
It was not only the best moment of the week, in my opinion, it was the sexiest moment of sweeps. I know that there's a poll going right now, and that it's kind of torn between this moment and Jason, the ceiling collapsing on Jason, as the two sexiest moments of the week, but I'm choosing love. I'm choosing love and not violence for now.
Or are you choosing your love of
that is violent? Whatever. It's more loving. But yes, I love that moment. I talked last week about Anna kind of living into her darker side in this relationship, and so I thought that was really fun. It was a fun moment. She obviously didn't actually give this guy embolism, but it was cute. It was cute nonetheless. And it's I love the adventure moment, even though Valentine can't go on an adventure right now. Although I question that, because Liesl got fucking impaled last week / yesterday, and she is running around Cassadine Island, but that's fine. Valentine,
harpooned. Rest
up. I wish you healing. Tracey, what was your favorite moment?
I mean, I was gonna go with something Sprina, but let me just be really clear that my favorite moment was Bobby's messy ass. When Chase walked into Kelly's, not Kelly's, but into Charlie's, it was talking to Bobby, and she was like, oh yeah, your wife. Oh yeah, I forgot that's not your wife. I screamed. It was so good. Bobby is so messy. And it just reminded me like the mess that we are missing on screen. I mean, I'll get into this further, but like Carly and Nina ain't it. Like, it's not fun to watch. It's actually painful to watch, annoying to watch. Give me some high quality mess. And I think that there's also something about using veterans in that way, because people are when people who haven't watched in a while watch back and they're like, oh, is Bobby still on? Is this person, like, people are excited for that. That's something that other soaps I think have, even with the Marlena storyline on Days. People are excited that Marlena is still there and still carrying story. Let some of our vets come back and carry story. It doesn't even have to be, I mean, like vets as in Bobby, vets as in Liz, vets as in like all of these people who are still there and underutilized. And so like having her be like this linchpin for that story was really exciting for me. And just like, I mean, so messy, so messy. I loved it. I loved it. I don't know. Sandra, what do you want to see more of?
Well, can I comment on your Bobby thing? I love how she's the one that spilled the tea about what happened with Maxie too. I mean, she was creating drama, and that tiny moment she had, she created a lot more drama, and she moved the story forward than a lot that happened this week.
Bobby whisked through and was like, you want some drama over here? You want some drama over there? Now I'm gonna go spend some time with my daughter. Like, it was just.
Don't forget who I am. Bobby Spencer.
Right.
As fuck.
Do you know who Carly's mama is? Do you know why she's so messy? Right here. Loved it.
Love it so much. What I want more of is also related to glorious messiness, and I want more messy Portia. I like here's what I'll say. I like Portia. I've liked Portia. I haven't loved Portia. Like, I've enjoyed her. Obviously, Brooke Kerr is gorgeous and like somehow looks even better than she did like when she was on Passions a million years ago. Like, she's just stunning, so talented. And I think part of the reason why I haven't loved her is that so much of her story is wrapped up in Curtis, and I don't feel them together. It's not my favorite pairing by even a long shot. But seeing her today, or not today, seeing her this week outside of her relationship with Curtis and mixing it up with different people at the gallery, just with each scene, I was like, okay, I see you. Mm-hmm. When she said that shadiness to Nicholas, a queen, like, it just keeps getting better and better. And I really, really like to love that scene with her and Trina and Esme. Like, mama knows. Stay away from that one. Stay away. And it also, I feel like, heightens, like, as we have these like really sweet moments between Trina and Portia, like, heightens the drama for the paternity drama later on. And so I also found myself like, I've never loved them more, and also like, oh God, it's gonna be really intense whenever their fallout finally happens. And so I just look forward to more Portia in the coming weeks and seeing more of her own story unfold, and also wonder what's for her beyond this relationship with Curtis, because I imagine that's gonna implode with the paternity storyline.
Yeah, I also like really love Brooke. I mean, I was a person who watched Passions, which is why I'm like, GH, bring the mess, bring the fantastical, because I really enjoyed Passions for what it was at the time. And Brooke has just been like, you know, a cornerstone of all of those stories. I think that's been really hard to like get into Portia, because you can't like really sympathize with her as a character yet because you know she's holding this paternity secret. So I'm hoping that when it comes out, like it's more of a I didn't know or I don't know who the father is, or it could be either. I think that it's just too much if she just like straight up knows that Trina is Curtis's. I think it also could be maybe if Taggart also knows, or like something that like makes it like less of a sting. And so the sting is like, I mean, it's fucked up, but like the betrayal is just of Trina and not of like this whole kind of ecosystem of characters. Because I agree. I think that Portia is interesting and can be built out to be more interesting. And we've seen her chemistry, like, you know, she has chemistry with Nicholas. I don't want that at all, but like it's there. I would love to see her mix it up with Sean. You know, like I would love to see her outside of that relationship with Curtis and outside of that paternity storyline. Yeah. What do I want to see more of? I really think that Vanna and the teens are just like carrying the show on their back. And so what I actually want to see more of is like better storyline for other people. I want to see some people on the back burner. Even some of my faves. You know, I'm a Carly fan, and this ain't it. I would love to see her on the back burner. But yeah, like the teens and Vanna are carrying the storyline and carrying the story. Highlight them more. Let them be who they are, and like also, you know, lean into the soapiness. I put out like a whole thread earlier this week on the GH Sunday Shift Twitter about just like different things, like different ways that the show is not taking advantage of the fact that it's like an ABC and Disney property. So like we see Days of Our Lives, for example, like really leaning into being on NBC and Peacock. We could have more. It was really cool to see the gallery opening be on Good Morning America. Like there should be more of that. There could be soap specific content that goes up on Disney Plus in like the kind of a la SoapNet. Sandra and I were talking about like some of the SoapNet stuff that people used to watch, and I was like, oh, I used to watch all of this. It was like Wally Kurth used to have like a show where he spent like a day with a soap star. There was Soap Talk. There were all of these things. It'd be cute to do like a holiday spinoff. They could have done like a Christmas with the Cassadines. They could have done just like a bunch of different things that leans into that they're owned by this property, that doesn't feel like, you know, when you have to maybe pay for like glamour or pay for like some of these other things or like song associations or whatever, but like y'all own this, like y'all are the same. There's no payment that has to happen to like actually use it as promotion. And it's really a shame that they haven't, and I really hope that they lean more into using it. Yeah, you know, why are they not on Jimmy Kimmel? Like put Trina and Spencer on Jimmy Kimmel. Do more to bring people in, and then actually have good storylines. So when you bring people in, they're not like, "Oh, I'm out." Tonya,
that was good. That was good, Tracey. I feel like mine's is boring. Like back to the story, but I want to acknowledge the tweet where you guys said that I said I wanted to see what was going on with Cat Daddy, and we ended up seeing it. Mm-hmm. And then someone was like, will you ask for more Sprina? So yes, I will ask for more Sprina just on GP, but I think I want to take up the mantle of Elizabeth fans and be like, hello, what's going on, Elizabeth? Oh, I think I'm ready to end. I asked for this before. Like I wanted to know what was going on with her dad, and it's just GH just seems to have totally dropped the ball on that. So I'm going to ask again in the hopes that, you know, maybe the editors, executive producers, and the writers are listening and tell us what's going on with the dad. I mean, why did he just write to her all of a sudden? We don't even know what I forgot, and maybe I need to rerun it, but he called General Hospital, right? He called, but I don't remember why he called. Did they say? So like,
he called Terry for some reason, but I don't remember why.
Right, exactly. So why did he call her? Hello, complete that a little bit at least. Yeah, sorry. It sounded more like a rant than anything, but
No, that was great.
That's where I'm at. So Tracey, what do you want to see less of?
Whew. I want to see less of Carly. And I say that because I think that a lot of what they have Carly doing should be spread out. So like part of the reason, I think they really like overestimate how much we like some things, underestimate how much viewers like other things. And so Carly has been like kind of the town crier around this whole thing with Sunny. And you know Nina is my enemy, so I think she's 100% right. But I think that some of the space and oxygen she's taking up should be taken up by other characters. Why does Carly have to go have a conversation with Phyllis? Christina's supposed to work there. It would have been nice to see Christina have that conversation with Phyllis about like what it meant for her dad to like not be there, right? Like there are so many people who loved Sunny throughout. Like Sunny was like a beloved character for whatever reason. I don't love Sunny particularly, but you know, for whatever reason, he was a beloved character. Other people should be taking it to Nina in the way that Carly does. Even it would have even been interesting to see Bobby go off on Nina about Carly. Like she's just taking up too much space, and it actually is making her less sympathetic in the story. And so every scene that we see is her complaining about this. Like there's nothing else for her. And it's just not interesting. It's not good storytelling. And the point of like these big stories are being for them to be built up and then for them to have payoff. And so what we're seeing with GH is they're building up these stories forever and then there is no payoff. They built up Willow and Michael and Chase. And then like we had like a day of Chase like kind of looking mad and being like, just kidding, I'm a nice guy. By the way, shout out to the actor who plays Chase for posting a Christian thirst trap on Instagram. He should have posted a thirst trap of him like in a sauna with a prayer book. And I was like, you know what, Josh, you do your thing. But like we just didn't have any fallout from that. We have like all this Nixon Falls and like the Jarly and like all these fucking Jarly apologists, all of that being built up to basically be nothing. And it's because they're focusing on the wrong characters and not like spreading out kind of like what could be said and what could be done in their storylines. So I just want to see less Carly, put her on ice. She needs to be on screen half of what she's on screen. And again, it wouldn't even be that you're missing kind of like the points of what she's doing. There just needs to be more people who are doing what she's doing. Because I want to see Nina cussed out every chance I get. For all 9 months of her. Okay, I'm being controversial. For all 6 months of her transgression.
Perfidy.
Of her transgression.
Oh, I like perfidy. That's the word of the day. Sorry.
Tonya, what do you want to see less of?
Yeah, I'm done with Cassadine Island. I guess I could say it over and over again. I'm done. And so I want them to crawl out of the whatever the tunnels.
The wreckage.
Oh my God. Yeah, the wreckage. Oh my God, we lost Jason. And Peter runs and chase after Maxie so that way we can end him. I want it to be done just like that. And I'll write it for, can we write their script for them? Maybe that's what we should do. Yeah, that's what I want to see less of. It's pretty simple. What do you want to see less of?
Both of those storylines. Both of them. Y'all really covered it. I mean, last week I said that the only reason I could even tolerate Sunny and Nina is because at least it wasn't the Cassadine Island storyline. And now I feel like it's just flipped. Like this week, I could kind of handle Cassadine Island, and anytime I saw Sunny, Nina, or Carly, I felt my headache starting. Like I can't, and it's not just about Carly yelling. Because I know a lot of people like that's like the thing about that storyline is like, oh, we're gonna see Carly yell again. I actually like am so disgusted by Sunny, actually, more than anyone.
Yes.
That he's just on his like, oh, like I'm Mike now, I'm a better person. No, you're not. You may be Mike now, but you're still a fuckboy. Like, I think that just go be with Nina. Go be with her. Go be trashed together. Let Carly go through whatever it is that she needs to go through. I mean, I personally think Carly needs to go on a vacation, an extended vacation, and let us like miss her. Like, let her presence be missed. Let Laura Wright have a little vacay. And then like actually let her develop as a character. Now that Jason's gone, now that, you know, Carson's going to be over for the foreseeable future, like the times that I have liked Laura Wright's Carly the most were the times when she was not with Sunny or Jason. So, and the Cassadine.
I was gonna say, and she's gonna truly be on her own because she's not gonna have Jax.
Yep.
So there's that. I should have said I want to see more of that too. I want to see how they end Jax too, but okay.
Yep. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about that. It's just like I'm tired. I guess I'm tired of having to repeat myself. Like every time we're at the what do I want less of, just these two storylines, because they also take up so much time and capacity. And the only other like non-teen, non-Vanna storyline, or like marginally related to Vanna, is the baby swap. And now Valentine's been cut out of that, thank God. And also that baby swap storyline, which is also gotten really tiring and old, is tied up in the Cassadine Island Peter stuff. So until Peter's gone, that storyline can't wrap up either. Like it's a tangle of boring and frustration.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think even to Tonya's point about like somebody like coming for Valentine, I get it. Like I get having issues with Valentine. I think there's also something about understanding why things work because the actor is charming and really good versus like why things don't work. Like storylines need to be written well with good acting and good chemistry. And so many of the things like are lacking a piece of that, like one or two or more pieces of that, that has made it like really annoying to watch. And so like even with soaps, like the redemption arc is really important and usually like long going, you know what I'm saying? So what like triggers me, I think the most about like a Nina, for example, again, my rants about Nina, is like this whispery, like, oh, poor me, like shit, like, no, like own it. And I actually wish they would allow her to be a little bit more like villainous, because those have been the people, like the villains have been the best like foils for Carly. Like having somebody who's like kind of whispery and like a little teary-eyed, oh, woe is me, like it's just actually not a good foe. Like Faith Roscoe was a really good foe for Carly. Nell's crazy ass was a good foe for Carly. Like that, they were fun to watch. Whereas like this is not. Even like Sam versus Carly in the early days was like fun to watch. And this is just not that. And it's because, and we can't expect characters to continue to carry storylines just because they're good. Like just because like you actually have to write something good for them as well.
I kind of agree with you because I think Nina is sorry to everyone but Carly, and it sounds like she's just being petty to Carly instead of actually owning her evilness. Like I would like it a lot more if she was just like, yeah, I did this and I ain't ashamed of it and y'all just need to get over it. Or, you know, be sorry, you know, and don't be like trying to be all up in Carly's face all the time, acting like you were right. You need to pick one. You're either sorry or you're not. Mm-hmm. And that's why it makes it hard for me. It makes it hard for me to root for Nina in that, because you're not, it doesn't sound like you're sorry at all. or you're not owning it. And so yeah.
And just like stand in it. Like when Valentine tried to like kill Ava, he was like, well, she slipped.
He never really apologized for that either. It's just like, he owns his messiness.
Like he's hated Lulu from the beginning to the end. Like
right.
It wasn't rewritten like we were really good co-parents. No, we were awful co-parents, actually. Yeah, anyway. Do you have anything for that before anything else before that, Sandra, before we get into performance of the week?
I have nothing to say that I haven't already said weeks ago, to be honest.
Yeah, this is true.
Let's talk about performance of the week.
Yeah, so I guess just to continue the conversation about Valentine. Surprise, surprise, he and James Patrick Stewart and Amanda Setton are my performances of the week, even though of course we love Trina and we love Nicholas, but I feel like there needs to be some variety in life. So I'm gonna say I did really enjoy the scenes, and I just want to say why. I mean, James Patrick Stewart is problematic. Well, he's not problematic. Valentine is problematic. But James Patrick Stewart is such a great actor. I mean, he made me feel his sorrow a lot, especially that scene where he's like leaning over the bed and he says, Bailey was my life. I was like, oh, I just wanted to cry for him. And just, he's amazing. And so I had to give it to him. But I also had to give it to Amanda Setton because she actually made me feel something for her too, because she actually felt like she was feeling the relationship that she had developed with Valentine and Bailey and Charlotte. And she felt guilty about it. And she felt sorry. Like she's been like all on this, I'm going to go after Austin, and I'm going to hate on him and all this other stuff. And it was annoying to me as hell. But this particular storyline, this caper that she's in the middle of, she's showing a little bit of her human side. And that really made me feel for her when she had to tell him, because she also, we saw it throughout the week or throughout the past couple of weeks, she's been feeling guilty about holding the secret. And it really came out in that confrontation. Now, of course, on Monday, it sounds like she may end up telling him a little bit of the reason why, as far as Maxie is concerned. But that conversation, between her and Valentine really had a lot of emotion, had a lot of angst. There's feelings, and so I want to give them their props and their flowers because I think they did an excellent job. So thoughts?
I don't think that she's going to tell Valentine the truth. I think that Valentine's going to be sadly cut out of the storyline, which is like one of the few interesting people in it, and then it's going to be replaced with Chase like being the fake daddy. And then we'll maybe see like some reaction from Willow, but I don't know, whatever.
But that's right. I did remember like Chase interrupted her before she started to say something. Yeah. But and I also do hope that I'm slightly interested in a scene because Nina was telling Maxie that Maxie was saying, oh, I think Valentine will protect me, and Nina was saying not likely. And I think it may be because of how she responded to him telling her about her daughter, and she's thinking that he may be super bitter like she was, and so he probably won't want to have nothing to do with the whole thing after a while. But I want to be able to see a scene with them where she's not necessarily saying I told you so or this is how I felt when you did it to me, but just having a real honest conversation on how what he did in the past is kind of coming to roost. But I think it would be an interesting scene to see that acted out. But yeah,
I thought that what Nina said about Valentine not being willing to help them felt really off base. Actually, like it from the beginning, it didn't make, especially with like BLQ saying, oh, it was like the shares weren't the only reason. It may have started out that way, but it was really about Bailey. If it was really about Bailey, they would have told Valentine and Anna.
Mm-hmm.
because it could have also helped them, like, rather than them spending all this time and energy like trying to find Bailey alongside Peter. Like, it was just information that they needed to have. So I did not feel anything for BLQ in that moment, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that if we were gonna go with the like, it was for like, I would have liked to have seen her tell the truth, or this to have blown up around the time that Peter came back and they knew that like he was like stalking Nina and like Liesel was kidnapped, because that is then when you need like the most, like, now your stupid little caper is over. Now you actually do need, you know, whatever. But instead you're actually protecting the paternity secret from Valentine more so than you're trying to protect the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we ended up seeing. And so I also just kind of didn't, I mean, I don't really like Brooklyn, so I didn't feel anything for her, but I did feel for Valentine.
Well, I think there's also a kind of I think a difference between feeling for the character or just feeling like the actors did a good job portraying it. So that's kind of where a lot of my decision goes. I think, you know, the actors did a really great job of that in that scene. And it also made me feel, even though I might not feel the same way as you guys about the character, it still just, it brought out an emotion in me, which I think maybe some other people felt the same. So yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just can't stand Brooklyn, so I just was like,
Right. And then also I feel like Nina may be wrong. Valentine may actually want to help after he figures out what's happened, but she may be projecting onto Valentine what she might do too. So that can also be very true.
Yeah. Agreed.
So with that, Tracey, what's going on with your deep dive? What happened when the railroad happened in the train crash?
Yes.
In 2005.
So 2005, this, I think the last like few weeks, we have been like really deep diving into like sweeps storylines. And so we did the hostage crisis at the Metro Court. And now I wanted to talk about, and this happened a couple of years earlier, which was the train crash in 2005. Forgive me, I did not take great notes, so I want to try not to. I watched it. I watched like all 6 hours of it. It was pretty intense, but actually really entertaining. And I was like, oh damn, like they really did have us thinking like Alexis was gonna die. Like it was like really good. So say what you will about Guza. I actually have things to say about him, but that man knew how to sweep. And so we kind of start with like Greg Von Lucky and Liz getting married. And at the time, Emily and Nicholas are broken up. So Emily and Nicholas had been like married, and then they had, I don't even want to get into the issue. They were broken up, and Nicholas was with Courtney. Courtney at the time was pregnant with our fave Spencer, the only thing that I've ever liked that Courtney's done. And Jax was still like trying to get Courtney back and was of the belief that the baby that she was carrying was his baby. So for whatever reason, everybody in Port Charles is on some sort of train. So Nicholas had set it up so that the honeymoon for Greg Von Lucky and Liz was like they were going to New York for the weekend. So their wedding guests were there. It was Lucky, Liz, Nicholas, Courtney, Jax, Alexis. So Alexis was like leaving because she had just found out that Rick, who she was married to at the time, had cheated on her with the Fed that Sonny had been sleeping with. What a tangled, messy web we weave, and we love it. The Fed, Reese Marshall, had slept with Rick because she was like in love with Sonny, but realized that Sonny was not in love with her. So Alexis was pregnant with Molly at the time and was like, I'm about to go off to New York and go give birth. So that's how she ended up going. On the other side of that, there was another train, which is how the crash happened, that was carrying Sam and Robin. Robin was coming back to the show to help save Jason from a brain tumor. Carly was off at Spring Ridge or something, at a mental health facility. And Manny Ruiz, if you remember, a proper villain, though a little racist how they portrayed him. But Manny Ruiz was like also stalking Carly. So this was like the introduction of Laura Wright to the show, because it was like that other Carly between Tamara Braun and Laura Wright. I don't even remember her name. It was just not good. So this was like this was Laura Wright's introduction. And if you remember at this time, Laura Wright's Carly was still married to Lorenzo Alcazar. But Alcazar and Sky were starting to have a situationship. This also was like kind of the time Dylan and Georgie were together. We just got to meet Lulu like as like this new character that comes on, because she had a very antagonistic relationship with Luke at the time. So when the train crashed and everything went down, Luke, as always, is like, I'm about to go save Lucky. And so Lulu was like whining, like, you got to save both of my brothers. They're the ones who've been there for me. And Luke was like, I don't really fuck with Nicholas. I'm gonna go get your brother, the one I like. So we also had Emily having to like basically play doctor again. She was still like a med student, but she was taking care of everybody. We had like the reconciliation of Rick and Alexis when it looked like Alexis was gonna die. Robin came through and delivered Molly. Jason also got buried again in rock, but he made it out this time. And speaking of like just messy, and I think that this is like part of my issue with BLQ, is I just love a messy Quartermaine. So Tracey Quartermaine, a damn mess. When they thought that Jason was gonna be dead, she was like, okay, well, let me go talk to Sam to make sure she ain't got none of these shares at ELQ. So Sam had gotten arrested trying to like run back in to save Jason. And Tracey was like, I'll help get you out, but I need you to sign over any rights that you got to ELQ before. Like, while they think Jason is like presumed dead, this is what Tracey is doing. Just like unapologetically messy. And yeah, I mean, so like all of that was happening. And what I really loved about it is that it was like a convergence of storylines. Like all of these disparate storylines were brought together from the train. So Sonny and Rick and Reese and Sonny, Alexis and Rick, this wedding, the tension between Nicholas and Emily, like after their divorce, Courtney being whatever. And then on the other side, it was like the reintroduction of Robin. So Robin had been gone for a long time, and I actually had forgotten about that. And like her and Jason were not in good relationship with each other at that time, because like Robin had basically left after blowing up the paternity story with AJ and Michael, and her and Jason never got back like on good terms before that happened. Jason also had like a little bit of amnesia, like a taste of amnesia, which was really weird, but it all happened and it worked. And also, and then I'll pause to hear like some of y'all reactions. And so I want to talk about like what went really well, and then like hear y'all reactions. One of the things that they did really well that they have not done very well lately is this reintegration of a character back into the storyline. So they knew they really fucked up with that Carly between Tamara Braun and Laura Wright. And so when they brought Laura Wright in as Carly, they re-grounded her into the storylines. So they like refilmed like flashback scenes that happened before to like show like, oh, this is her relationship with Sonny, this is her relationship with Jason. Because part of the reason she had gone into like the institution, which was like always a problem, was that she was obsessed with Sonny. And so they had to like institutionalize her, which was like really fucked up. But it was like this, like, okay, she's regrounded. She's like really like focused on her kids. Like, here is this new Carly for you. And I instantly liked Laura Wright, mostly because I like Carly as a character and could not stand that interim Carly. But they did a really good job, which is really opposite of what they did with Nicholas, to be honest. Like, when Marcus came in as Nicholas, like, he came in and he didn't have any grounding force. Like, there was no Laura, there was no any of that. Like, he was just like oppositional and like trifling. And so it's cool for it to like make Nicholas the Dark Prince, but we can talk about whether or not Marcus can pull that off. That's another issue. He can't, but there's also like, he just wasn't grounded in any story, and it was really hard to root for him. Like, everybody was mad at him when he finally came around. Like, you know, it just wasn't good. And they did the very opposite of that when they brought Carly back in, because they knew that they were going to have to. And then there was like, we were watching the train wreck, and then I realized that when they got off the train, it was like no more of like the train wreck labeled YouTube videos. I was like, where's the rest? And I'm like, oh, this is a proper sweeps. So you had the sweep event, and then when it was over, and then it like converged into a bunch of other storylines. And we brought really important people onto the screen. So like, that was like, we brought Patrick came on as a result of Jason's brain injury. We got like so much out of it. Sky and Alcazar became like a real couple as a result. Lulu and Luke became family as a result. And so we just like, like regrounded in being family, and she stopped being so bitter at him as a result. We saw like a softening between Luke and Nicholas at the time. Like, there were so many things. Courtney ended up getting back with Jax for a second. And the actress was like leaving the show. So she left to like go and relax off screen and away from Nicholas and from Nicholas and Jax when she was having the baby. But then she came back to have the baby, and that's when she died. But all of that was like laid in motion. So it was like the train crash, all these storylines converged. There was a train crash that happened. And then after, it was like all of these other storylines opened up as a result of the event. And so I want to pause there and just hear what y'all thought when y'all watched it at the time. What do you think about it now? All of that.
Yeah, I don't remember watching it. That's the funny thing. But I do have, what I think now is I agree, because I kind of feel like that's one of the problems of us not being swept right now, is like, I don't know, where do we go after the sweeps, right? I don't know, like, after Bailey gets found and Peter's dead, Jason's gone, I don't feel like there's any like compelling story that's going to come out of that, or any other new stuff that's gonna come out. I'm like, I have no idea where the writers are gonna go after this, because there's just like nothing exciting or continuous about it, nothing new to it to bring to the table. And so I'm just like, I'm underwhelmed. Like, I don't necessarily want there to be a sweeps, because I don't feel like they have anything to write about after. And so that was a really good point that you made.
I feel comforted by the fact that, like, if these storylines were to end, they would just be ending and they would have to start something new. Unfortunately, I don't think that that's what's going to do. I think these storylines are going to continue the way that they are continuing now, because I don't think they're going to get rid of Peter, but that's a whole different, that's starting to get into speculation. I will say that, like, I wish that what happened with the train would happen now, like the reintroduction of important characters, the phasing out of storyline, like that wasn't working, like the Fed storyline wasn't working and was very strange. The way that they were handling Carly had been all wrong. So they used it as an opportunity to reset and bring in like characters like Robin, and eventually like Patrick, who was like a new character but was connected to Legacy. So yeah, I don't really remember watching this much. Like, I mostly just remembered, oh, that's when Laura Wright started. But when I rewatched this time, I just loved how many different stories fed in, how they all had their kind of beats and moments within to move the story along after. And I also liked, it was interesting with the Nicholas, Emily, Courtney stuff that like they really still played Nicholas and Emily like they were still in love. And like without taking away from the fact that Nicholas also like has had chemistry with Courtney and was in love with her. Like I appreciated that continuity that often doesn't happen with exes now, where like, and I think that's also what gets a lot of shippers upset is that like, you know what, we understand this is a soap opera, like our faves are not always going to be together, and like, can we acknowledge that the love between these people? So I liked that. And I also really appreciated the Laura Wright like the created flashbacks to ground her. I think it was really effective. I think she also like just did a great job. Like when I was watching the flashbacks, it felt like her own, like she already kind of had a grasp on what her spin on Carly was going to be, and it felt continuous from Tamra while still being her own, which is kind of the sweet spot for a recast. Like you want to feel that connection to the past, and you want to also let the actress do her own thing. So I appreciated getting to revisit the sweeps a lot, but it also made me sad that there's not enough time for them to sweep us like this. Like they were sweeping the whole ass month before, hours of sweeping.
Hours of sweeping. Yeah, I think, yeah, all of that really resonates with me, especially the continuity of relationships, because that to me is really important. And I think that also is like why it matters. I mean, we talked about this with Grey's Anatomy too. Like you have this like really beautiful tapestry of all these people who have so many connecting backstories, who have so much compelling story to tell with each other. Like, let's not like erase that things happened. Like that actually makes it richer. And I've said this before and I'll continue to say it. Like, I think that they need like a fan or a historian in the writer's room with them to like just make the very small connections that can make things richer. I like to the Emily and Nicholas piece. Like, I mean, I was a shipper of Emily and Nicholas, and I actually think that they never really got, they always had problems. And so you never got a chance to actually like live in them being happy. And so like it's a soap. And so obviously like things are going to happen, but they didn't know how to tell a very happy Nicholas and Emily story. Like it was always something. Nicholas was presumed dead like 4 or 5 times through their storyline. You know, like, and sometimes it was only like an episode or 2. And sometimes it was a whole ass time of like months where people thought Nicholas was dead. And so we just never got a chance to really enjoy them the way they should have been. They also should have never killed Emily, to be clear. And Emily should have been Spencer's stepmom for at least a little bit. And so there's that. And then there's also like, I just like during all the crashes and everything, there was a point where they thought Nicholas didn't make it. And so when Nicholas ran out, it was Emily, Courtney, and Jax there. And then the first person who he hugged was Emily. And so just like remembering like these people have like real history together, not just their relationship. They were actually friends for a long time too. Like that was the teen scene. And so like in the same ways I enjoy like the Cam and Trina interactions and their friendship has always been really important to me. It was like still good to see that like existed for them.
Yeah, maybe if they actually did have a historian in that, then they wouldn't be rewriting stories. Because you know, right? So like or changing the history. Because I will bring it up over and over and over again. Sam knew that Nicholas was involved in Hayden's death. And they need to rectify that, you know, fast. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is that I'm sure that information is all recorded. Like
it is recorded. Someone tweeted it. It's there. It's on YouTube.
Well, and not just that, like it's recorded for continuity purposes by the show, like
Internally.
TV shows
Yeah.
and movies. Like when there's like a series and there's history, like they have things called character Bibles where everything about that character exists. I mean, I think that's harder with soaps because there's like so much information, but they know, it's like they just don't care. I think that's part of it. I think that it's like they underestimate the power of history. And that's like, and also that just because they don't have the attention span to attend to these things doesn't mean that fans do, because nobody carries receipts, hoards receipts like a soap fan. For decades, we will hold on to receipts. What was that receipt that it was about Steve Burton and when Alan died, some shit that Steve Burton said that was very like dismissive. It was like, oh, I was sad, but you know, sometimes casualties happen in this business, and it's just, you know, this people have
people.
Yes. And so someone tweeted that same thing about him, and they were like, I've been waiting for 25 years
to pull it out.
And that's soap fans for you.
And it was so funny. I mean, because first of all, like the whole, like, I have the receipts gif, not Whitney, but like the original I have the receipts gif is like a soap opera. So obviously, like, we know about a receipt. And also like that, like at first I was like reading it, like, this person loves Steve Burton. And then I was like, oh, I am that gif of like the kid giving the football thing. Like, oh, you had me in the first half, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was just really, yeah, Steve. But then Steve actually was just on the talk, and like gave like a lot of praises to the guy. I
think that's why they pulled out that receipt, because he had said that you know, he was all emotional about
Stuart
Damon's death, and that person was like, yeah, but remember when you said this? And so, you know,
I think it might have actually happened before.
Oh,
I think it might have happened on the same day. Maybe this is just me stirring the pot, but I feel like it actually, him saying that might have been in response. But anyway, that's just speculation. I'm just being messy. Sorry.
Just getting on your Bobby Spencer over there, and I love it.
You know, if I'm going to channel a Spencer, it's going to be Bobby.
Right. Any other reflections from a good sweeps? I also appreciated they didn't kill anybody who was like too important. Like, what I hated about the hotel crisis was that they like killed Alan, but like this, they were like, we getting rid of this Fed, and you know, I'm always down for that. So
yep. They used it to take out the trash.
Yeah, it was great.
I am hoping, I think my bigger reflection is that the sweeps are such an opportunity to course correct. They can also make things go off the rails, but they make a good sweeps makes change happen, and great for taking out the trash. And I hope that we have like a real ass sweeps in February. I can understand why it felt hard, because we were still on the tail end of the vaccine mandate stuff. So, and I'm sure they're still going to be cleaning up stuff around that, but like February sounds like a great opportunity for a Valentine's Day massacre. I'm just saying.
Absolutely. And I think that, you know, the show has gotten a lot of grace. I remember in 2020 when they were doing, like, they had to go down to 4 days a week, and then they were like splicing in those like awful flashbacks. You remember, it would be like
long flashbacks.
It would be like the day before, they'd like have you flashback to the entire scene, whatever. They got a lot of grace. And like we were all excited when they came back after, like, you know, like they've received grace. And a lot of, you know, explaining away some things that have happened. And now, like Sandra said, there's a vaccine mandate, more people can be in the same room together, and y'all can tell better stories.
I think it's hard when you have really great soaps doing really well And you're comparing and contrasting. Like Y&R makes it hard for all other soaps, I think, because it's just crazy. I mean, yeah, there are Y&R fans who hate some of the stuff that's happening on Young and the Rest, but oh my God, Young and the Restless is number one for a reason. And they stay at being number one. And so it makes it hard for other soaps to compete. But
I did see they were dragging the former Dylan Quartermain from who's now on Bold and the Beautiful, and I kind of laughed at that, to be honest.
Oh yeah, they're dragging him. Well, his character is trash, and he just phones it in. So, so his character is hella trash.
I still hated Dylan so much that it spilled over to the actor. And then they like put him on One Life to Live, being like some kind of creepy teacher with Star too. So I'm sorry, Scott Clifton. I've just never fucked with you.
And I never will.
And I never will. And it's the fault of the soaps. You can't blame me. You're so good at being an asshole.
Yeah, that was the other thing is anytime I watch anything from this era, I'm just reminded of how much I fucking hate Dylan Quartermain. Hate.
And now now on Bold and the Beautiful, he's trash and a hypocritical trash at that.
It's the only thing I love to read. I have no idea what's going on in the show, but I just do love to read Bold and Beautiful fans dragging Scott Clifton. I don't know. I don't understand the context. I just appreciate it.
No context needed.
I don't need it. I stand with you. I stand with you.
I just want to like talk about who like this podcast is in solidarity with. Liz fans who respect for your organizing skills. Bold and the Beautiful fans who drag Scott Clifton. Like just like
there's another group of people that hate Abby Newman on Young and the Restless. I respect that.
Who's Abby?
Is she the one that teleports?
No.
Has a teleporter?
There's a teleporter?
No, on Young and the Restless. No, there's no. I don't think there's a teleporter.
Well, where's the teleporter?
Is that Days?
No,
that's the devil.
Oh. When you say teleporter, you mean someone that goes from one place to the next really fast? Is that what
I thought someone teleported on Young and the Restless?
Did they really teleport, or was it like people were like, "Oh, Anna's gonna teleport"?
No, like there was teleportation. I can't be making this up. Someone in the comments.
Like she flew from Genoa City to Spain in one day. It wasn't
a flying. It was a teleporting. There was a teleporting. I saw the GIF.
Well,
maybe it didn't actually happen on the show. Anyway, we'll look this up later. This is a GH podcast.
There are fans who feel the same way about Abby right now as GH fans feel about Carly. Like everything's all about Abby and they're sick and tired of it. And so they are on it. So I have respect for them too.
Bam. Solidarity. All right. Free for all hot takes, including any behind the scenes drama you want to bring up.
Okay. I actually have a few more because I actually decided to write down my reactions to the shows this week because I had time because we're on break, right? So I will reiterate the consensus that Anna is a badass and will stab a bitch in the hospital and not care. Love that. Again, Trina laying her head on her mama's shoulder. And then Anna's reaction to Valentine calling him such a flirt.
That was really cute.
That was cute. On Tuesday, loved how, when Spencer was like, Trina doesn't deal in dirty tricks, and Esme was like, unlike me. And I was like, yep, that's exactly what he meant. So that's it. And then on Wednesday, I had an interesting reaction to Alexis squeezing Sunny's stomach. I almost felt like, why would you do that? Because it's almost, how people, even men, they be touching women's pregnant bellies all the time. And then Alexis kind of did that thing to Sunny. And I was like, that's really familiar of you to do that. And it felt really uncomfortable to me. I just had a reaction to that. I didn't like it. Just like, woohoo. I was like, what are you doing? So Esme, again, feeling like she's definitely trying too hard. Too hard. I like that Gladys was in protective grandma mode for once. Actually, like that made her likable this week for me. Even if she was still annoying, so, but I still loved it. And I think the writers love this phrase, "mind your own business, stay out of yours." Because again, they gave it to Maxie this time. I was like, y'all are just reusing that phrase a little bit too much, and need y'all to move on a little bit. So, and then also that scene at the end where Peter crawls away and no one notices. I'm just like, how the fuck did that happen? Like absolutely no one saw him crawl away. That was amazing to me. So yeah, but those are it. I'm still a lot shorter than you guys, but I still had some. So yay. I'm congratulating myself.
I have very short ones this week. Because I was so disgusted with the week, to be honest, and because I spent like hours watching the train crash, and I was like in it, like, oh my god, what's about to happen? So I only have very short ones. Sweet, simple Cam, supportive friend Cam. Keep that beard, Chase. Keep it going. I really loved when Robert and Anna both put their hands in their pockets and kind of leaned back. It was like just a subtle reminder of their connection, and just reminds you how fucking great both of those actors are, and how much Robert was missed. I want more of that. I just love them as like friends, and like co-conspirators. Trina is really that girl. It was just like something I wrote, period. Good, her mom left. Just really killed me with Spencer. I loved it. That shit was hilarious. And every heart eye he made at Trina while he was like standing with his girlfriend, he was so proud. I forget why this. Oh, now I remember. I wrote ACAB Cat Daddy Snooper. It was because when Curtis was like, he was like, you gonna call the cops? Cat Daddy Snooper definitely is like defund PCPD. Yes. Curtis, he had his moment this week. But when he was talking about Baltimore and he's like, a difficult place to navigate, I fucking cracked up. Like I had to pause it. Like it was like, who wrote that?
They didn't want to say it was ghetto. It's a difficult place to navigate.
It was definitely written by like a white person who was like, how do I gently say this was a slum? I know. A difficult place to navigate. Amazing. I hated it and then I loved it. Like it was, yep. Also thinking about when I saw the Alexis and Sunny scene, I thought about how different it was than the Alexis and Jack scene, like probably the last one that we'll ever get, because Nancy could not hide that she fucking despised Ingo in that scene. She like didn't want, like it was so clear. She's like sitting in a chair. She was like 6 feet, but like it was amazing and I loved it.
The hug that she and Sunny had was super long.
Yes, and like real. She was happy to see him.
Real.
That was Nancy and Mo. Yeah.
So maybe that's what she does, the touching of his stomach. Maybe that's something that they do off camera, and she just brought it onto the scene. So maybe that was it. It just caught me off guard.
Yeah, maybe. And Nicolas Chavez kind of like confirmed that some of our favorite like interactions like that end up being things that they've improv'd. So I put Gladys, didn't hate it. That's like the best I got for Gladys. And then I wrote, I hate Peter. Please. Why, God? Why?
Yep. Yeah.
That's what I got. And I have some other behind the scenes stuff, but would love to hear other hot takes from Sandra.
Yeah. I just have a series of interwoven takes about Sprina and the teens. I co-sign most of what you all have said on the takes. I just feel like I haven't talked about Sprina at all. Well, I got some things to say. And I think it might weave into some of your behind the scenes stuff, Tracey. So I loved Esme stirring the pot about Cam and Trina. I wanted Spencer, honestly, to make more of a fool of himself. I'm open to that happening later on. I loved Spencer following Trina all over the gallery with his eyes, even in background shots. If there were both of them visible, he was just like, he understands the assignment. When Spencer was like waiting for Portia to leave, like he was drinking that glass of water, like literally thirsty. And the moment she left, he was like dragging Esme's ass over there. And I loved Cam hyping up Trina, and this should be how their friendship always is, which makes me so angry when he undermines her for Esme and other scenes. End of sentence. I love that Esme was on Trina's territory at Trina's event, surrounded by people who absolutely adore Trina, and that all of her attempts to sabotage her felt incredibly flat. And even Spencer, who is irrationally jealous about Cam and Trina, pulls it together enough to defend them, especially Trina, against Esme's insinuations. And I liked how like Spencer's desire for Trina is just like absolutely unmistakable. Like the only desire that is rivaled by it on the show right now is Valentine's desire for Anna. And it's just like, we don't see enough desire, like open desire on the show. And so we've seen it in the heart eyes, like the irrational jealousy, him defending Trina to Esme, and like back kind of accidentally also insulting Esme in the process, which love. Even though he was jealous the whole evening. And the contrast is like his intimate moments with Esme are anything but intimate. Like they're stiff, cringy, awkward. That's obviously intentional. We either don't get point of view from him in those moments, like usually his face is obscured, or if we can see him, he looks miserable or just like blank and numb, versus like him gazing across the room at Trina is more intimate than him actually being intimate with Esme. And I know that this actually, like the Esme, Trina, Spencer triangulation is really starting to rub like folks the wrong way. And there's like a lot of stuff coming up around like Esme and Spencer parading their relationship in front of Trina, and Trina continuing to be like the unpartnered person in the group, like the third or the fifth wheel. And so I think one of the things that comes up with Trina is that, like, you know, obviously Sydney Michaela's availability is different. So one of the ways that they're presencing her when she's not on the show is like people hyping Trina up, people talking about how great she is. Like even when she's not there, she's there. But what felt strange about this was like, even though this exhibit was Trina's, but there wasn't much Trina point of view. Like the scenes were more about Trina, like other people's point of view about Trina than like Trina's experience herself. So people talking about her accomplishments, Spencer choosing to rise above talking to Nicholas because it's Trina's night. Like even Joel Sartore thanking her personally at first and foremost, which, you know, obviously
love to see it.
Another reason to like Joel and support him. And, you know, and most importantly, Esme witnessing how beloved Trina is by everyone, but especially Spencer. So yay, like all of that. And like, I actually liked the moment when Trina saw Spencer and Esme kissing, not because I liked that or liked seeing her in pain, but because like she's really had to play Trina so unbothered,
right?
Which, you know, is also the strategy I would have done right at that age. And I would like, and she's doing a great job of sprinkling in the small hints of vulnerability. But I do actually want to see her pine. Like, I want to see her even wallow for a little bit, not because I want to see her in pain, but because her vulnerability deserves to be witnessed.
Yes.
Like, I want to see her cry on Joss's shoulder. I want to see her witnessed, because she deserves to be held and not have to hold it together for everyone all the time. And that's so much what Trina is praised for. So that's one of the reasons, like, why when Trina's messy, I get so excited, because I'm just like, yes, you get to be messy and beloved at the same time.
And that's part of the reason why I love that scene with her mom, because she was showing that vulnerability, like, yes, this is someone I have to contend with, and thank you, Mom, for your support and seeing that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
More of that. So I know that there's like a lot of talk about how might we bring more vulnerability to Trina, but also like, how do we also let her be desired openly? And so some folks have been talking about like the need for additional characters, whether that's day players or more teens, to show Trina a little bit of love, and maybe actually have someone who is more of a legitimate threat to Spencer than Cam is, be the, you know, the thing that sparks jealousy. The thing I like about the Cam stuff is it's a nod to the past. It helps us remember that there was something between Cam and Trina at one point. And there is something about the jealousy is like so irrational that I kind of like it. It's like, Cam's not really a threat, but go off, Spencer, sure. But like, from a storyline perspective, is that needed? Like, might it slow the relationship down? Like Spencer and Trina actually getting together? I don't know if it's needed, and it might slow things down, but why not? Like, why not add more young energy to the show? It needs it. And also, like, Trina should not be the only teen of color on the show. Like, that is actually a big part of the dynamic, is that like she's always going to have this kind of outsider role as long as she's the only person of color in that age cohort. And I appreciate how much people have been asking for the Wu family to be built out and for the new teen to be a Wu. And I would absolutely love that. And that's what I really, really want.
Yeah, I have so much. Everything you said was like church. I was like, yes, everything. I do think, and it sparked a lot from the Jason and Keisha deep dive we did, where people were talking about like the ways in which like Black characters get sidelined, especially Black women characters. And so there's like a Trina hive and like a Sydney hive that happens, that people are not used to, because anytime you say something about Trina or Sydney, people are there. And it's because we've seen what happens when people are not protected. So it's not just like some arbitrary, like people are bored, they just want to start some drama. It is that we actually know that if we are not allowed to say we actually really like this character and really like this actress, then like we're leaving her to the wolves, and like the wolves have never been kind or friendly to Black girls. And so there's this like there's a lot of things that end up triggering people around Trina that wouldn't trigger you around like a white character. And so part of like I think a lot about how they did Georgie back in the day, where like they were taking her boyfriends and everybody like Lulu or whatever. Like you actually can't do that with Trina and Joss. And there's like this like almost Bagger Vance type quality that they keep trying to have with Trina, where like her and Phyllis are like the people who solve everybody's problems, but you don't get a chance to like actually see when they have issues, when they have heartbreak. And so, I mean, we got a little bit of that from Phyllis with Lenny, but even when Lenny died, it was more about like Sunny and Nina's like reaction to it. And so there's like been this like uprising of like Trina should have a boyfriend. I don't necessarily know if I think Trina should have a boyfriend. I think that like Sydney's availability is as such where I don't want to use time that she's on screen to try to like give her a boyfriend. That's like another obstacle to her, to like Sprina. But what I would like is just like an acknowledgement that like she is desired. And we had it way back in the day when they were younger, where Cam was like, oh yeah, all these guys like you or whatever. And then that's when they decided to go to like homecoming or whatever together before they got kidnapped. But we haven't had that acknowledgement as an adult. And so it was a sticking point when Esme was like, oh, we're going to go to this cabin, which I have no idea why Trina would agree to go to that bullshit. But, you know, we're going to go to this cabin and it'll be me and you and, or, you know, me and Spence and you and Josh and Trina and whoever. It was like a real sticking point that like kind of the odd, like who Spencer is with now tried to like call out Trina for not having a man. So like Esme has like on several occasions been like, oh, you like my boyfriend. And it's almost like this like elevation of Esme over her as like being a desirable figure. And so there's only so many hard eyes, because people also know that, yeah, that does happen, where a white boy will make hard eyes at you while he's with his white girlfriend. Like that ends up like actually triggering people even more, especially around race and class with Spencer and Trina. So there does need to like, there's only so far like the outward desire from Spencer to Trina can go while he's still with somebody else, when we don't have like any acknowledgement that Trina is a desirable girl on her own. And so just like a couple ideas I had, I was like sharing this with Sandra, is like that you don't actually have to bring a boyfriend on, but you can like have conversation. Oh yeah, Trina's with whatever guy, they went to a movie. Or Cam even in the moment being like, yeah, you know, Josh talks about Trina, like when Esme said that, oh yeah, Josh talks about all these guys on campus that like Trina, you know, but she's been so busy, she's not interested. Or like, you know, I haven't seen her be interested. Because that's even another way of Esme to bring some drama, like, oh, so Trina doesn't want to tell you who she's interested in, huh? You know what I mean? Like something that like shows that she is desired, even if it's just like her and a lab partner coming to Kelly's to study and Cam seeing it. Like if we can get a fucking day player for this cater waiter, we can get a day player to come and like show our girl Trina some like love, some like, you know, whatever. And that's another way to Sandra's point of like showing Trina's vulnerability around Spencer, because like they could be having this, the dude could ask her out and she can be like, I'm actually into somebody else. And then like that's even more angst. But like just the idea of her being on her own and not having anybody while everybody else is coupled up has been like really difficult for me to watch. And I'll pause there, and I do want to talk about this interview from The Talk, but Tonya, do you have anything on that?
Yeah, I kind of agree. Just making it like, I think, I don't know, I even would like to see it, not necessarily have it just be talked about. Like, I mean, I guess I think one of the things I had said previously is like, I would like to see them on campus, or, you know, and you can see it like if, you know, Trina's walking around and some dude trying to holla and she's just like, oh no, you know, or she's busy, or maybe they're studying and then she gets calls from friends and be like, hey, let's study together. And she's like, actually, I'm going to go to the cafe and see Spencer or some, you know, whatever. But yeah, definitely. And would love to see another character, you know, on the scene, another character of color. I guess that's something that, you know, I'll put out in the air in case, you know, the producers are listening to me. Please bring on, I mean, we've heard, I think it's been confirmed that Brad's coming back, right? So have Brad come back, and then there'll be a little brother out there, you know, that, you know, Miss Wu is like, hey, you didn't know this, but I have your brother with you, so you need to mentor him for your punishment. Or something like that. I don't know. You know, or something. I don't know. But yeah, bring on cousin Wu.
Yeah, seriously. So Laura Wright was on The Talks with the show on CBS. Shout out to Cheryl Underwood, who now follows us on Twitter and follows a bunch of Sprina fam, and is like a shipper.
Cheryl Underwood follows us on Twitter?
She does. Somebody was like, you should listen to GA Sunday Shift because you're a Sprina shipper, and she followed us. So shout out to like everybody who like keeps putting us in the air. Like it's so like touching every time. It like really literally like gets an emotional reaction from us every single time. But
Before I go to Laura Wright, I wanted to shout out Cheryl Underwood because she actually told Nicholas, she's like, I'm mad at you. You need to be choosing Trina. I was like,
yes. He was like, you're right. Like, absolutely. Captain of the ship, Nicholas Chavez. But so like the whole show that day was like dedicated to soap opera. So they did like awards, and that's where like the Steve Burton thing came when he like praised Stuart Damon. And so there was like a section where they asked Laura Wright like who she likes, and so or like what she likes to see. And so she said she liked to see Sonny and Nina. She thought that they had like good chemistry and good storyline. And then she said, and I saw it first like in print, I didn't see the video, where she was like she really likes seeing Spencer and Joss. She's like, even though they're not a couple, I like to see Spencer and Joss. And so people started dragging Laura Wright for that. And you know, I turned into like the Monique gift, like my sister has burnt too many bridges and I can't help her now. I did watch the video. It did not seem to me as if she was saying that they needed to be coupled up. But I do think that because that blogger whose name we never say and never will, was like, oh, soap stars are like coming into my DMs telling me they want like Spencer and Joss. Like that might have triggered some of that. And it also, I think, is that Laura, like people view her as holding so much sway that like not shouting out the whole teen scene felt like weird, or not hyping up like the kind of signature ships of the show right now, which are Vanna and Sprina, like just like didn't feel right for people. So I personally did not drag Laura, but again, my sister has burnt too many bridges. I can't help her now.
Yeah, I think I watched it that night, and I think also what might have lent to that feeling that she was talking about Joss and Spencer as a couple is because she said she wanted to see Nina and Sonny as a couple. Mm-hmm. And she talked about that. She said she loves it. She loves seeing them together. And then she went on, although not a couple, I like Joss and Cam or Joss and Spencer. And so people might have confused that whole sentence of saying who she would like to see as a couple. And so that might have made it sound confusing, but to me, I didn't interpret it that way, but I can totally see why people did.
My sister has burnt too many bridges and I can't help her now.
That's the thing, is that Laura has been so loud and wrong about other things that it felt hard to like give her the benefit of the doubt, and also to like tell people they're wrong for how they felt about what she said. Like, why if you like, I understand that she probably wants to hype up Eden, right? Like she's Eden's mentor, Eden plays her daughter, like, so it makes sense to hype her up. And like Eden's best scenes are not with Spencer or with Cameron, right? Like the best Joss scenes are with Esme and with Trina. So that just felt strange. It felt strange to bring up Nicholas, who is like, you know, the daytime hot boy that, you know, everyone's talking about right now. Mm-hmm. When there's also so much sensitivity around the erasure of Trina. And so I think it's like one of those things when it comes to, well, things that could be construed as like gaslighting or even dog whistle, is that like, it doesn't have to, the intention doesn't have to be there for there to be an impact. And so it's the combination of Laura Wright already saying like weird shit about Wes Ramsey and how great he is, and Peter, and like defending, like going into Instagram and like defending him in the comments on GH, like, and other things that she said, like the fast forwarding stuff. Like, it's like she doesn't, there have been so many moments where it's like clear, like she's just not reading the room or doesn't care to. And so I just want what, you know, what Tracey said, it's like, what only God can help you now is how I felt with her. It was just like, you weren't totally wrong. Like, I can see where I could give you the benefit of the doubt around intention, and you need to do better. You need to do better also at like, can the standard not be like, oh, like, I didn't say something outright racist. How about the standard is you are like actually lifting up your colleague who is a young Black girl, or at least not actively saying things that erase her and her popularity and her moment that she's having right now. So I just want Laura Wright to do better. I'm not going to drag her, but I want her to do better.
It's above me now. I think that's the other thing about Laura Wright, that it can't be construed. I think that a lot of people have a hard time construing it as being innocent because they know how online she is. Like, girl, you be in them comments, you know, and you've seen like how people react. And I mean, again, I've seen how other people are, not in like our section of the Sprina fandom, but people like will put down Eden. We haven't. We actually really like her. And I actually really like the character of Joss. I do not think she's a mini Carly. I think the mini Cujo thing is a bridge way too fucking far, and people should stop doing that. To like, she's like an 18-year-old girl, and like comparing her to a dog is just like, a rabbit dog is like too much for me, and not true. And so I think that she like stands on her own as like an actress and has like carried and been like a really good bridge to like adults, and like a really good, like a good friend chemistry with Trina, which like reminds me of like Robin and Brenda, which reminds me of like Kendall and Greenlee when they're not beefing, like actual like good soap friendships, which is really important. And so we don't do that. I also feel like I love that we don't do that to Esme. I think that we, you know, like we really like Avery, and it's because we see the comments. And so that we do make a point of uplifting them because we understand like that, how people come at them. I did see it was Miss Avery's birthday today, and I was like, only a Scorpio could play Esme in the ways that she is. But yeah, like, so I think that is also like, to Sandra's point, like what we would like to see, or what we should have seen from Laura Wright, which is that, you know, they're like disparaging comments, and you know that you know how the industry is for Black girls, to be honest. And so to not like uplift your coworker in that moment felt off.
Yep. And are really white soap awards too. You know, everyone that got an award was white.
Damn, I didn't even pay attention to that.
So, you know.
Yikes.
Yikes. What else was I say?
I didn't even know. You talking about like, ooh, yikes.
No, so it's like white supremacy at play while white supremacy is at play while white supremacy is at play.
Everybody who got an award was white?
I think so.
But you know what? How often do we see actors of color in soaps get awards?
Yeah, because they're in white supremacy.
Right. I think like the actor who played Neil Winters, he probably got an award. Like, just because he's so popular. But I can't even, like, it's sad that I can't even just name drop who's won Emmys that are actors of color.
Yeah, I'm sure Shamar Moore won something.
Yeah, I think he might have won an award. Again, yeah. Young and Restless being good and setting the standard, but you know.
R.I.P. to Christoph St. John. That was really sad. Anyhow, I guess we can stop being messy on that note. Yikes.
Sandra, being messy, we speaking the truth. Whatever.
Sandra, you want to close us out with some predictions? Or Tonya, do you have any predictions first? I don't have any. I predict that I will be disappointed.
Well, I'm not predicting. I'm writing the script for them in Cassadine Island. Let them crawl out of the rubble, leave Jason behind, Peter go chasing after Maxie, and then kill him off, and then that's it. Thank you.
I love that. I think that would be great. Hats off. Lord. Okay, so predictions. It's not looking good for Brasha and baby. Armoire, Corinthos, whatever they're naming it. It's not looking good. I think a lot of I think basically the next couple of weeks are gonna be Brasha baby fallout and then Jason fallout. I think everyone's gonna survive Cassadine Island except Jason, who will be like presumed dead. Whether he's dead, I don't really know. I don't really care, just as long as Steve Burton's gone for now. I'm just really trying to keep my eye on the prize. So it's going to be that fallout's going to happen, like the immediate kind of fallout on Cassadine Island is going to happen this week. And then the following week is going to be about everyone finding out about Jason, their reactions, and also like the folks from Cassadine Island coming back and like reintegrating back onto the Port Charles scene. And also I think things between Carly and Sunny are going to come to a head by the end of the month. So those are like the things that I see playing out. I don't think we're going to see much of the teens. It's going to be a teen drought. We might see them at Thanksgiving gatherings. I know that Portia's having a gathering. Alexis is having a gathering. So I could see Trina being at Portia's, Spencer being at Alexis's. I would love for there to be a Kelly scene between the two of them, but I'm not holding out much hope. I think that we'll see the teens will have their turn at the story again at the beginning of December when they go to the cabin, however they manage doing that. So maybe we might see some updates on the cabin plans like sprinkled in, but I don't think we'll be seeing much of our teen faves. And but we'll also see the reunion of Valentine and Anna and get to hear their processing about the baby swap. But I don't think Peter will be dead by the end of sweeps. I'm hoping by the end of the year, but I think the next stage of that storyline is him coming to Port Charles to get Maxie. Hopefully the baby swap storyline will also get to wrap up. Like, I just don't want Chase wrapped up in this like liar storyline, even more like him lying for someone else's baby. Like, give this man something to do, for God's sakes. But
someone to do,
or someone's to do. But yeah, I find myself just like after Friday's episode, I was like looking at the episode previews for the next couple of weeks, and I just got kind of stressed out. I was like, God, what am I going to be watching for the next couple of weeks? So I hope that I hope to be pleasantly surprised, but we're going to be seeing a lot of the Carson Nina situation, a lot of the Jason fallout and everything that's going to come with that. But hopefully it will clear the way for something different happening in December. So that's my silver lining on an otherwise pretty gloomy set of predictions.
Oh yeah, I do have a prediction. I predict that Jax isn't going to die. They're just going to send him off.
Yes. Sorry. I forgot to name that. Yeah. I don't think there's going to be a big thing with Jax. I think it's too, they're going to just need to focus on Jason's fallout because he's the only one. There's like actually no fallout for Jax leaving, like besides Joss and Carly. Nobody cares. It's not important to the story.
Yeah, I agree. And I just don't think they're going to want to put Joss through grieving her dad and Jason. And I'm wondering if her grieving Jason is going to be how she convinces Trina to come to the cabin.
Could be. Yeah. I think that's very likely. Because why else?
It doesn't make any sense. Anyway. All right. Well, any other pressing hot takes before we close out on our 11th episode?
It's not pressing, but I noticed something that was funny. So when Wiley was saying goodbye to Carly, he said, "I love you, Carly." I love you, grandma, but he never said I love you, grandma, to Nina.
See, that's like the petty. Other people were like, he was happier to see Nina than he was to see Carly. I'm like,
yeah, but he didn't say I love you to her. It's just like, oh, so you ain't got no love for your other grandma?
Oh, I remember I had one other take. During the Curtis and Hat Daddy scene, whenever like Hat Daddy takes off his hat and he's like, I'm the man that you've been looking for all these years. And I was like, are we doing, so I know we've done paternity tests via necklace already, but are we doing paternity tests based on bald ass heads? I'm confused.
If we can find Sonny via sauce, then we can figure out who the daddy is via bald head.
You know, this is another reason Brad needs to come back, because nobody's even doing paternity tests anymore. There's nobody in the lab to run them or to fake them. Why bother?
When was the last time GH had a real paternity test? Like that was, I would never get a paternity test from there.
I think the last ones they've been doing haven't been at GH. Like they'll send to that other hospital because they don't
still be messing them up.
They'll still be messing them up. That's
right.
we gotta check for the bald heads, and that's how you know people are related.
He was like, look at me. Do I not look like your father or something like that? And Curtis was like, no.
So good.
So
look into the gleam on my head and see our ancestors. Smiling.
Our shared ancestry right here. All right. Well, that's how we're closing it out. Thank y'all for sticking with us. Can't wait to see you next week. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.